Tellis, a prominent U.S. national security scholar known for shaping Washington's thinking on Bharat and the Indo-Pacific, was arrested in Virginia on charges of unlawfully retaining classified national defense information under the Espionage Act. Tellis was taken into custody after agents recovered more than 1,000 pages of classified material at his home. The government alleges some documents concerned sensitive U.S. military programs. Investigators say Tellis accessed, printed and removed classified material from secure facilities and took them home. Agents found the files in the filing cabinets and even trash bags during a search. Surveillance reportedly tracked multiple off-site meetings with Chinese government officials in recent years. Tellis has long been one of Washington's most influential India hands. He served on the National Security Council under President George W. Bush, notably during the US-India Civil Nuclear Accord, and later held roles connected to state and defense departments. Most recently, he was a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, while acting as an unpaid advisor to the state. His deep involvement in India policy and defense analysis and high-level clearances that came with such roles elevate the public stakes of this entire matter. Implications for the US-India policy circles? Well, because Tellis is synonymous with the strategic case for closer US-Bharat ties, his arrest reverberates beyond the courtroom. The episode prompts scrutiny of think tank and government revolving door norms and how consultants and unpaid advisors access classified material. This also puts focus on past statements from Ashley Tellis, and he has said, and I quote, "The choices that Bharat has made in the last several years are quite anti-market and run against the grain of the evolution post-1991. New Delhi desires American support in its confrontation with China but does not believe in materially supporting the United States. Trump's pressure will drive Modi to reduce Bharat's oil purchases from Russia, but he cannot publicly admit to doing so. Bharat overestimates its influence on the world stage while lacking the economic heft, military capacity and alliances." Now the question remains, has the arrest exposed the left ecosystem's China prem yet again? Also, has Bharat chosen the wrong people to advocate its cause? Are these entities not driven by nationality but driven by political ideology in choosing their loyalties or deciding where their loyalties lie? Ashley Tellis is a very well-known face and a figurehead, and these accusations have taken a lot of people by surprise. But is there this entire aspect of sarkar to unki hai par system to hamara hai? Does this reverberate? We'll try and go across to our guest, Radhika Khera, national spokesperson of the BJP, and Akashdeep Muni, political analyst, in just a bit. But this does raise certain questions which become very, very important. Now, thing is, Ashley Tellis is of Indian origin. He studied in Mumbai early on. He's been accused of leaking sensitive files to China. He's also told he faces serious espionage charges. How is the MEA going to look at this? Is the government now going to do a serious reassessment and recalibration of who is actually representing Bharat's interests in the power corridors across nations? And are there many other double agents like these? Siddhant now joins us with more details. Yes, Siddhant.
His arrest has perhaps shocked the think tank community both in DC and New Delhi. In fact, the 10-page affidavit filed by FBI special agent has chilling and shocking details about his actions, how and why he violated the most basic rules on handling classified info. It still remains unclear. All we know is through the affidavit, which is already in public domain, and we know that he has been arrested. Now, the FBI has more information than is revealed in the affidavit. This is what we've been told. The investigation seems to have been on for at least a few months, if not longer, because if you go by the affidavit, then most of the meetings which have been tracked by FBI of Ashley took place in 2004. So, some of these meetings he met the Chinese official. He was carrying an envelope while entering the restaurant, and at the time of exit, that envelope was not with him, etc., etc. So all those things have been mentioned. Now, definitely, it raises concern, Anand, if the Indian government have been engaging with Ashley, or perhaps the Indian think tank community have been, because think tank community have more been engaging with him.
Right.
Because, in India, it used to be said that if you really want to understand India-US relations, then start reading Ashley. That was kind of an, buzz about his writings and his opinions as far as India-US relationship is concerned. So definitely, Anand, for next time around, it requires more vetting. And perhaps, such things are always a learning for the policymakers, for the think tanking community, that somebody who was seen in such a high regard and was taken so seriously, perhaps ended up being a Chinese agent.
Thank you for your inputs, Siddhant. Akashdeep Muni joins us. We should have the spokesperson of the BJP also joining us in a bit. But Akashdeep Muni, how would you, the first response that came from the BJP is that this is the person from whom Congress was taking perhaps notes, dictations or influence. So even while the Chinese were courting him, the Congress was courting him. Now this is something which has now come to the fore. How would you look at this?
Anandji, if Ashley Tellis is a Chinese agent that we are listening, then why the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar inaugurated book edited by Ashley Tellis and said that about the book that he was glad to see the analysis. Even the Finance Minister attended the book release and the PMO social media handles flagged the event. The PMO tweeted about the release indicating official engagement, and if he is a Chinese agent, coming to the intricacies of the details you are citing, then why the DOJ charge is for unlawful retention of national defense information and not espionage or acting as a foreign agent? Can you give me specific details regarding being a Chinese agent, like payments, communication, witness statements, as investigation is going on since months, as the reporter said? Without those, the label, the Chinese agent, is unproven. Now, I request the Bharatiya Janata Party IT cell to work a little bit harder, because what they are doing is not enough. Just by taking out states and
but is this not that, was he not part of this entire left ecosystem, this Lutyens cabal, those from whom and towed the Congress narrative? Was he the right person to represent Bharat's interests, or was he politically leaning? The other aspect, Akashdeep Muni, is that if somebody who's now a US national is of Indian origin and is busy pulling out state secrets of the US to the Chinese, where do his loyalties lie? To the nation of his origin, the nation of his karma or his work, or the nation to which he perhaps identifies the ideology with? Is it being driven by political ideology? These are questions that are being asked.
I asked you, can you give me one instance of his espionage details, his payment details, communication with Chinese people, witness statements? Investigation is going on since months. Can you give me any details? When you are naming anybody Chinese agent, now this country has seen that in contemporary times, recently anybody can be called anti-national and a Chinese agent. You have called
no. This is based on the evidence. The evidence that's been quoted. It's not the Indians. It's not the Indian side or the BJP which has decided that he's selling links to the Chinese. It's the evidence on which he's been, that surveillance tracked in multiple off-site meetings with Chinese government officials in recent years. He has been very well entrenched within the US political advisory system. Has he been co-opted by the Chinese? And if that is the case, the links that have been drawn. Let's look at the links that have been drawn by the BJP. We should have the BJP spokesperson in a bit, but viewers, bear with us. The links that have been drawn. The links that have been drawn is the Congress party is the one which has got an MOU, ongoing MOU, which was signed in 2007 between the Congress and the PLA or the CCP. The Congress party always takes a narrative where China is a far bigger behemoth and needs to be engaged with. The Congress party has never taken on China or been adversarial in its tone. It has always tried to portray that Bharat can never match up to China and Bharat has to be subservient to China. The other part is that whatever is the narrative that the Chinese want in the US-India equations and relations is what has been echoed by the Congress party. And now they are saying, the BJP is alleging, that Ashley Tellis was somebody whose articles, whose utterances, whose thought process was quoted by someone like the LOP Mr. Rahul Gandhi. That's what they are alleging, and that's where the parallels are being drawn. That is this an ecosystem that is so political ideology driven that it is willing to compromise nations' interests to be in bed with perhaps the adversary or the enemy?
See, Anandji, I'll again cite that the DOJ charge is for unlawful retention of national defense information. It is not espionage. You are still unable to give any proof of espionage. Neither the US government has given, neither US government has charged him acting as a foreign agent. Why we are believing the BJP IT cell, Amit Malviya's tweets, I don't know. There is no proof altogether. He is not charged. He is not convicted. US courts will define his guilt based on evidence produced in the court. Still, the case is not registered, not started. So why we are jumping the gun? I am unable to understand. And if he is a Chinese agent, why was Mr. S. Jaishankar speaking so good about his book? Why the PMO flagged his book release?
Because at that, yeah,
party has to answer.
True, these are questions that are fair questions to ask, but at that time everybody celebrated him as an academic, as a person of influence and a person who was working in the interest of Bharat. But if this is a person who is actually not working and he was a double agent, he was working to further the interests of a third nation, and while trying to curry favor both in the US and in Bharat, then these are devious entities. So, and you are saying that there were people who were present from the government for his book launch and who were listening to him or who were engaging with him, but so was the opposition. And the opposition was firmly trying to root a narrative that was coming from the Chinese. Charu Pragya of the BJP is with us, national spokesperson. Charu Pragya ji, thank you for joining us on short notice.
Thank you. Just allow me a moment to settle in, and Anand, before I start talking, and I'll wait to see what Mr. Muni is saying first.
Mr. Akashdeep Muni's argument at this point has been, one, that Mr. Ashley Tellis has not been proven to be a Chinese agent. Where are the payments or whatever monetary gratification or exchange? Quid pro quo has not yet been established. The investigation is still on. Secondly, Mr. Ashley Tellis has been seen engaging with members of the current Bharatiya government. He's saying Dr. Jaishankar went for his book launch. He's been seen engaging with members of the government. So why is the BJP trying to take pot shots at the Congress party and the opposition here, saying that they are all part of the same ecosystem?
That's a very, very unfair and a very biased stand to take, Anand, honestly, because when it comes to foreign interference in our country, I think it has been proved time and time again that it is the opposition that has encouraged outsiders to interfere in the way India is going to be going ahead. So,
Ji. Go ahead, please. Charuji, you are audible and visible. Please go ahead. I think we've just lost her link there. We'll try and get her back in a bit. Akashdeep Muni, quick response to what she just said.
Why not? Anandji, again, I want to establish in front of your viewers that still the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson has not given any facts, any figures, any examples, just plain rhetoric. I cited clear examples of how the PMO and Mr. S. Jaishankar and the finance minister was involved interacting with the ecosystem, what you spoke. And even the DOJ of US charges for unlawful retention of national defense information and not espionage. When there is no charge of espionage, how can you say him as a Chinese agent? And if he is a Chinese agent, why Mr. S. Jaishankar and the finance minister were communicating with him?
So are you saying that Mr. Rahul Gandhi and members of the opposition already knew that he was retaining defense documents when they were engaging with him? They didn't, right? It's all come to the fore now. Now, who is leaning towards which thought process and ideology, and whether or not those people are really working in the interest of Bharat, that's the question. The allegation
Can
made
I-
by... Yes, Charu Pragya.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say one thing. See, Anand, one, we all know who's encouraging any kind of foreign interference into India. And mostly it is found to be the Congress party or people who are aligned with the Congress party. The second thing is, in this particular case, it is not India which is framing him, levying charges or accusing him or of anything at all. It is the United States of America. So if India had done it, they would have gone crying around again. Today, because another country is doing it, they will probably, hopefully, look on with a little bit more seriousness, because say you've trashed the country that you were born into, you have gone into another country, you settled down there, you are in fact misusing your position in that particular country too to just sell off information. And then we have people who come and defend all these activities, because I really want to know, where does loyalty of the Indian opposition lie? Every single time you're found wanting, every single time. Even right now, where is Rahul Gandhi? Who is he meeting? What is he doing in this prolonged period of absence from our country? Why have no videos or photos emerged? See, when a BJP leader, or in fact our Prime Minister Modi, travels abroad, we have a minute-to-minute schedule. We know who he's meeting, we know where he's going. How can the leader of opposition disappear like this for days, and then after that we are all left wondering where he went? I'll tell you, this is what happens. This is what happens. These are the typical people like Ashley, who are then found to have links in India, who are selling Indian information, who are probably Chinese people hiding undercover, and Akashdeep Muni is defending it,
Yeah, but
pointing fingers at India.
But this then becomes hearsay. This then becomes circumstantial. There is no concrete evidence, is what Akashdeep Muni is saying. And the other thing is, the current BJP government, Charu Pragya, has been in power for 12 years. So are we saying that the current BJP establishment, with its overseas outreach, with its presence across the world, has not been able to develop solid entities and individuals who actually represent Bharat's interests via this government and the government's interests? And they have to lean on entities like these who are actually borrowed, because they, political ideology wise and thought process wise, don't align with the current establishment. Is that an unfair question to ask?
I think this espionage has increased in recent times, Anand, because, and we've argued this before, when it was being discussed how much foreign investment is coming into India and it is going into the Indian NGOs, where that money is going for. And we were looking at the FCRA approvals. Then again, there was this hue and cry. So this is like, see, if a person, and there are links of Ashley meeting with the People's Republic of China on multiple occasions over years, and this is proof. I am not talking of hearsay right now. This is with proof. When we ask what went on in these meetings, now whether we are asking Ashley or we're asking the opposition, they don't have an answer to this. So no, this is not hearsay. It is not Indian government which is levying all these charges. It is the US government. They are going to deal with somebody within their borders in a way that they see fit, and that's exactly why they're not running helter-skelter and blaming Modi for everything.
Akashdeep Muni?
Anandji, the diplomatic failure of this government is...
How is it a diplomatic failure?
Just give me a minute, ma'am. Charuji, I respect you so much. But today I am unable to understand what they are doing with diplomacy. We have invited Taliban here. Taliban, who has ostracized 50% of their population females into their
Our
homes.
country has
No,
a
you're
diplomatic
digressing.
relation
No,
with the government of Afghanistan. Don't mix the two issues. Don't mix the two issues. Our country has diplomatic relations with the government of Afghanistan. Don't mix the two.
One minute. Let's not digress the issue. The Americans were in bed with the Taliban and they are the ones who brought in the Taliban. So then are you saying that Bharat should not engage with America? No, 1 minute, sir. Are you saying... 1 minute, sir. I credit you. I credit you with a certain amount of wisdom. So allow me to please plead on that.
No, and I'm sorry.
What I'm trying to say, sir, are we trying to say that we will not engage with the Americans at all? That's not the case. Nations have to engage with entities and those who are in power in those nations, because that's what diplomacy is, and still get work done. So that is something which you would also appreciate. Nobody
with Hitler also.
No, nobody is saying
Hitler will be enemy of Pakistan.
Hitler is not alive. We have to look at people, entities who are alive. We have to look at, we have to look
Can
at,
one minute,
we
can I-
have to
can
look
I
at,
just
we
add
have to
something,
look at,
please?
we have to look at
Akash, do you-
entities who are currently,
There is something called stand.
you know, if you are going to make an argument for an argument's sake, please go ahead. But like I said, with due respect, I credit both of you with much more wisdom. So please elevate the level and let's bring it back to what we are talking about. Yes, Sir Charu Pragya.
Can I? Yes. So, see, the thing is, every time Ashley Tellis vomited against India, wrote against India, anything negative, who amplified it? It was your ecosystem, Akashdeep. It was your ecosystem. It was Congress. It was the India haters and the opposition which amplified all of that content. Today, what has he been found to be doing? He's been stealing classified information. He's meeting with representatives of the People's Republic of China. With proof, I'm saying this to you. Multiple times he has met. No other details have emerged, and he's passing on this information of another country to China. And what do you want to say to that? How can this be linked to India's diplomacy, India's failure at diplomacy? In fact, I think India has been doing exceptionally well, much better than it has been for the longest time. Because we are talking about the US, Modi ji did not visit. He had the courage to shut down the US president and say that, no, you are not telling the truth and I'm not going to attend. So instead of pointing again fingers at India, at Indian diplomacy, at India's win every single time, you have been amplifying India haters. You have been supporting India haters. And today it is not our government that is framing him. Why do you keep forgetting that? Are you going to point fingers and say that US also does not have any information or proof and they are also just resorting to hearsay? Is that what you're trying to say? Then say it on record. Now let us also hear it.
Okay, Akashdeep Muni.
I said the DOJ charge is for unlawful retention of national defense information, not espionage or the acting as foreign agent. Can you give me specific details as you charge of espionage, like payments, communication, witness statements, as investigation is going on since months, as reported by CNN News 18? Can you give me here, as you charge that he's a Chinese agent? Give me information or take back your words.
He's under probe and I'm not doing back. No, let's just go back to the basics and break it down for Akashdeep Muni and our viewers. One, he's under probe. He's being probed for passing on classified information to the Chinese. He's in the US currently. The
You're
US.
wrong. He's not on probe of classified.
No, he is. Yes, he is.
information.
Yes, he
Unlawful
is. Yes,
retention
he
of
is.
national defense information.
No, no, he's
Please
also
fact check,
1 minute.
Anand.
1 minute. He's
Anand,
also
please
under the
fact.
scanner for a possible transfer of this information to Chinese agents and Chinese people
Exactly, and
because
what do you
he's
call
been
that, Anand? It's a probe, right?
he's caught under surveillance meeting Chinese government officials. This has also been stated in the DOJ report. Yeah.
So, okay, so one, you have betrayed the country of your birth. Then the country that welcomed you, allowed you to live there, made you a consultant to the State Department, you've also betrayed that country. So the probe is being conducted by the US of A, not by India, right? So now let's bring the whole circle to a close. One, I have a problem with the fact that the Indian opposition and their supporters are standing behind people who trash India, who are anti-national to the core, and I have got no qualms using this word again and again. The third thing is that this is not the government of India, it is another sovereign which is investigating against him. You're still jumping in to defend him.
Right,
Why is
but-
that? Why is that? Because every single time he trashed India, it was you who was amplifying him.
Correct,
It was you
but-
who was spreading misinformation and trying to bring your own country down.
But the point is, in the last 12 years, the government of the day, while blaming the opposition of trying to borrow from a similar ecosystem, has not been able to effectively set up a stronger voice that actually would push together the story that the government actually intends to push and lobby in nations. Now, that still is a work in process, and if these entities are then going to be borrowed or co-opted because they have greater access than the current government and its entities have, then that's a reflection on the functioning of the government, its external affairs and its overseas outreach entities. And that is something that needs to be addressed. It's got to be a serious consideration because the governments and its entities have also been seen engaging with this person. So did they not check the antecedents is a fair question to ask. I have to pause at this moment. Thank you to our panelists and thank you for your patience, and also Charu Pragya, thank you for joining us on short notice.
Because he was
please,
working for the
complete.
State Department. Thank you.
Yeah. You were saying something.
Yeah, I was saying because he was working for the State Department, which is an official department of the government of America. He was a consultant with the State Department. Does our government not engage with officials engaged in another ministry or another department of another
True.
foreign country?
Fair
Of course
point.
it does. Of course it does. And
Fair
that's a fair
point.
explanation.
Fair point. But did the government also have entities who could figure out and try and sift and say, all right, these are dodgy, let's try and keep our distance. These are the ones who are not, let's try and keep our distance. And who are these people who now, with their Indian origin, are they really going to press for the interests of the nation of their origin, or are they going to work individual entities and driven by political ideologies? And does that present a huge problem for us within our Indian diaspora, who we look at as a great dividend to push forth the Bharat story? So that's another question and problem that presents itself. We'll see if that can be turned into an opportunity in the coming days. Thank you very much, Arupragya and Akashdeep Moni.
Thank you.
Shifting focus, in a dramatic turn in Kerala's hijab controversy, the state government has directed a Christian-run school in Kochi called St. Rita's School to allow an 8th grade Muslim student to wear her religious headscarf or hijab. This comes just after the student's father agreed to the school's uniform policy, with even the Congress claiming that the issue had been peacefully resolved. However, based on the complaint filed by the student's father, the Ernakulam Deputy Director of Education conducted an investigation and found that there had been serious lapses on the part of the school authorities. The principal refuted the claims, first that the child was expelled, which they say is not true. Kerala government report also says the school violated right to education, but school insists that all other Muslim students, nearly 110 of them, follow their policies, adding that all kids are the same in a secular country. St. Rita's School has refused to comply. The PTA president has told News 18 that they won't be forced to follow government orders when the CBSE and the court norms are very clear. The matter is in court. They said let the courts also decide. The BJP meanwhile slamming the Pinarayi Vijayan government's directive, citing Supreme Court and High Court rulings that uphold institutional dress codes. The Kerala High Court granted the police protection to the school after protests erupted in the matter. The High Court supported maintaining order and institutional autonomy, but encouraged dialogue between parents and management. The matter is set to be heard again on November 11th, but the government intervened even before the court could decide. Why is the question? Meanwhile, the SDPI has demanded broader guidelines for all educational institutions, both aided and unaided. This also comes weeks after the June 25 clash at the Kerala University, where tensions erupted when SFI activists tried to block an event and remove a Bharat Mata portrait. Despite the registrar's revocation of permission, the governor proceeded with the program, which the state government later termed a gross violation of university regulations. Now the question remains, in the garb of religious freedom, is selective secularism on display in Kerala by the LDF government? Sriraj Nair, leader of the VHP, Royden Roach, political analyst with us. My namaste and Jai Hind. Thank you for your time. How would you look at this, Royden Roach, on the way the Kerala government is currently functioning? Was their diktat, was their order necessary, especially when the state's education minister said that the schools have their rules and those rules have to be followed? That's why it's called a uniform code.
Well, good evening to viewers. See, the first thing is the Kerala government, I don't really think why it was written and they got involved into this issue. When it was sub judice already in the court and you have a court order coming up, why is it the government got involved? If the government wanted to get involved, they should have done it before. And one more thing very clearly, see, when the reason is the people should understand that you have a dress uniform code, it is much more beneficial for the child. Because see what happens when the child starts to wear on a uniform and go in some place and start, sitting in the school, there's always a discrimination happening between the friends. Okay, there's a lot of ill feelings happening. They come from a different community, this comes from a different community. But when you have a single uniform, you know the children are together. They don't see who's sitting next to them or from which community he comes. So there's a lot of peace and harmony and more understanding for the children. That's a more way to bring up the child in a country like ours. And especially this only starts with hate, always because of hate. And when we look at the school, see, even if I have my child admitted in a school, the first thing is I abide by the norms and forms. There's always an instruction being given to you in advance that this is the rules of the school, and you have to follow it. If you don't want to follow it, don't admit your child in the school. You admit the child in the school where you think you are comfortable with. But when it comes to issues with uniform, I think you have to maintain the dress code of the school, and it's a uniform, and that is even discipline of a child. Now, by parents getting involved and intervening in these issues, the discipline of the child is going to go to a different angle. So you have to.
Yeah. You make a fair point, Roy and Roach. The other thing is that the Christian community has been, unfairly dealt with by under the left government is another question that stands up, because the Kerala Christian Forum has multiple times raised the issue of girls being targeted by Islamist radicals. Nothing much done there. Drugs being peddled among the youth. Nothing done there. Their schools and institutions, educational institutions being brought under pressure by these radical elements who seem to get a free run. But Sriraj Nair, is it because Marxism is dead in Kerala and it's being now replaced by Islamic Bolshevism? Is this a political compulsion, a vote bank compulsion? What's happening there?
See, Anand, you said it right. Marxism has been dead long back. Not only in Kerala, it's dead all over the world rather. Now, what you said is absolutely right. It is the radical Islamists who has taken over the Communist Party, CPIM party. If you see the complete cadre of CPIM, it is mostly the Muslim community. And moreover, these people are playing with the lives and career of the students. Now, what does uniform means? Uniform means uniform for everybody. And why they want to push their radical ideas in schools and educational institutions? Now in Bihar there are elections. Mr. Owaisi will be roaming around in Bihar and will be saying that in Muslim community there are the maximum number of school dropouts. They face the maximum number of school dropouts, and that is a record. And these are the people, these radical elements are responsible for the Muslim community to have the maximum number of school dropouts because of their radical ideas. And moreover, Kerala Communist government under Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan is known for appeasement politics. They are only into appeasement politics.
But
they have been ridiculing, mocking Hindu Dharma, and at the same time, they have been always treating Muslims as their jamais. It is only appeasement politics. They should never interfere in the educational arena. Why are they poking their nose? And when there is a uniform for all the students, it should be abided.
Correct, and clearly this kid has been studying there for a while. And interestingly, Roy and Roach, if you see, the whole sequence is orchestrated. There is some YouTuber who's filming this.
Exactly. All of a sudden, the girl feels she wants to wear hijab. She was wearing the uniform for all this while. All of a sudden, she wants to wear a hijab, and there are people who want to support. So this is all with some kind of vested interest and ideas.
No, but who are these people who are putting these kind of pressures and also on CBSE run schools, Roy and Roach? Who are these people?
See, you have. I don't really
Kerala.
Shijit, please, I'm asking Roy and Roach, please wait. Yeah.
See, I only don't blame the issue with in Kerala itself, under Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan's government also. You look at even the BJP run state, we always have the Christian minority schools being targeted. And these are the institutions are the ones who give the best of education. And that too, the very, very, affordable fees. The fees is very affordable. If you look at it. So every child can study. But when you look at the BJP doesn't want even children to study. In the north, if you look at it, they are trying to stop education. And that's the reason why the Christian institutions are targeted. The minority institutions are targeted because they do not want children to get educated. So that they can pay the
agenda. But where are you saying that the BJP is stopping education? BJP has not stopped education anywhere. Which are the cases where minority institutions or Christian institutions schools are being targeted? Which list?
Delhi. Including Delhi also. We had this issue.
What is the issue?
Yeah, we had the school being targeted by the Bajrang Dal.
For what? For what?
For same thing, for same issue, uniform code is one side, and one more thing, the system that they are running the schools in, you can't get involved in the operation of the system. Your assembly, the way the assembly is to be run, and what has to be sung in the assembly, you can't say that. You can't do that. Okay, all these issues are happening, and especially we are observing this. These people want children to be uneducated so they can play the vote bank politics. Okay. And the day the people start getting, so what do you think Manipur is issue? What do you think the Northeast is happening? Because The missionary schools are educating people.
Now we are getting into a different realm altogether. You're
No,
supposed
let me
no,
tell
no.
you, this
Yeah,
is
there is again one more. Right and Roach, we are digressing from the topic, so we'll park it for another day. You're supposed to be educating, and you're not supposed to be revisionist in your attitude. Why is it that from the advent of Christian missionaries onwards, the history of Mizoram has been wiped out? Why is it that there has been a total demographic transition if the intent was only education and not and there was no attempt at conversion? You are allowed to propagate but not convert and use inducement. So that's a different realm altogether, and that is not allowed. So we'll park that out for another day. But if a school's what I am trying to tell you, what I am trying to put out here is, if the rule of a school is that there will be no other headdress other than the uniform, then that applies to everybody except for the Sikh community, because that's part of their religious practice. This is not an addition. Hijab or wearing a head cover is not an mandatory aspect of the Islamic religion, and that is the reason why it cannot be imposed and it should not be deemed mandatory in schools. So that's the basic compromise. I thank you both. We'll take this conversation forward. I am compelled to take a break. We are 7:31 already. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
We're learning that Supreme Court has begun pronouncing its judgment on the green cracker row. Do remember, we've seen clearly a divide on green crackers, a mix of anticipation, anxiety that's gripped Delhi. Supreme Court hinting that it may allow the sale of green crackers in the city just a week before Diwali, and that pronunciation has begun of the judgment. We're learning that the CGI said we've considered the submissions by Solicitor General and we have to take a balanced approach. Those are the first few comments that are coming in from CGI Gawai. The court is delivering its verdict. Many residents, remember, welcome the prospects of fireworks returning to the skies. They've called it an essential part of festive celebrations. There is another section, like I said, that's expressed concerns that weak enforcement could once again pave the way for regular, more polluting and noisier crackers, and it'll turn the city into a gas chamber and a boombox. Now, do remember, this also coincides very interestingly with the AQI picking up. The AQI in parts of the National Capital Region has crossed 200 and above. And that's a concern that National Capital Region residents are currently staring at. Comes this judgment by the Supreme Court. The verdict is being pronounced as we speak. The verdict essentially is around green crackers and whether they can be sold during Diwali festivities in the national capital. The CGI makes the first few observations. CGI Gawai says we have to take a balanced approach. We've considered the submissions by the Solicitor General. Now, there are green activists who are also speaking or who've broken their silence on this. The permission, if at all, is granted by the tone and tenor of the CGI. This is going to bring back the bursting of crackers within the legal ambit for Diwali, for perhaps other festivals like Gurpurab and Christmas as well. And this is going to happen after 5 long years. Green firecrackers, remember, bring that entire debate back to what it means for air pollution and how limited is really the consequence of this. They're designed to emit 20 to 30% less particulate matter than conventional ones, but the concerns still come with green crackers. And now we're learning in the latest bit of breaking news update that's just come in that the Supreme Court has allowed temporary sale of these crackers. The CGI has referred to the order of October 14, 2024, where Delhi government imposed a complete ban on firecrackers, which was expanded to entire NCR. And this is big news coming in from the Supreme Court. Speaking of how the need of the hour is a balanced approach, Supreme Court allowing temporary sale of crackers, referring to the previous order of 14th October 2024, where the Delhi government had imposed complete ban on firecrackers, which was then extended to the entire national capital region. Bursting firecrackers, though, only permitted from the 18th to the 21st. So just the few days in and around Diwali is when we're going to see this development in the national capital region. It comes with a disclaimer: bursting firecrackers only allowed from the 18th to the 21st. Do remember, a lot of people celebrating Diwali this year on the 20th, some on the 21st. So the crackers, the green crackers are only allowed in the national capital region from the 18th to the 21st. That's the latest bit of breaking news update coming in. Temporary sales of green crackers has been allowed in the national capital region. This is the latest coming in from the Supreme Court, and pretty much on expected lines, because the tone and tenor of the CJI suggested this. And like I said, there's been a lot of anticipation, a lot of anxiety around this. There's a certain section that essentially was waiting for this verdict, welcoming the prospects of fireworks returning to the skies. Others who are concerned that this is going to add to the air pollution problem that is already being faced by the citizens of the national capital region. With the AQI going up, Supreme Court allowing temporary sales of green firecrackers is what we're learning. Ananya Bhatnagar is sharing these details with us. So breaking down more details of everything that's being sent out by Ananya. The patrol team shall conduct regular checks, is what CJI Gawai said, on green crackers, on the green cracker manufacturers. The QR codes of green crackers will also be uploaded on the website. So
Back live, and fresh clashes have erupted between Afghan and Pakistan forces across the border from the Paktika province to the Terwa district, with intense exchanges reported in Kamaruddin Khan Muhammad and Lari Gate. This follows deadly skirmishes in Balochistan and Kandahar earlier this week, and in a major escalation, drone-led Pakistani airstrikes have targeted at least 3 Afghan Taliban posts in Spinboldak, killing 4 and injuring several others. Afghan sources claim 12 civilians were killed and over 100 wounded in this morning's bombardment. Meanwhile, 4 Pakistani security personnel have also lost their lives, with 10 civilians hospitalized in the Chaman area, which has also seen fierce gunfights. Tensions remain high along the border. Pakistan in particular accuses the Taliban government in Kabul of offering sanctuary and logistical support to the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, which regards Pakistan as its main battlefield. Now, over the recent years, TTP factions have used Afghan territory for planning, training and launching attacks inside Pakistan, straining Islamabad's relations with Kabul. However, as TTP becomes a more formidable player along the Durand line, can the clashes be seen as isolated border skirmishes or the opening of a new conflict between Bharat and Afghanistan? Because it's Pakistan opening this front. Now, big news coming in. A temporary ceasefire has been decided between Pakistan establishment of the Pakistan government and the Taliban regime for the next 48 hours with the mutual consent of both parties. During this period, both sides will make sincere efforts to find a positive solution to this complex but solvable issue through constructive dialogue. Now, there are further reports which say that Pakistan has launched an airstrike in Kabul. But the Taliban side says that's an oil tanker explosion and not a Pakistani airstrike. So amidst all of this, there is perhaps an uneasy calm. Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, former GOC 15 Corps with us, and Ambassador Rajiv Dogra also with us. Both of you know the lay of the land. Both of you know the entities involved and the politics behind it. So, General Dhillon, what are we looking at? Is this again a skirmish, or can this escalate into a full-blown, theatre of action for the Pakistanis on the western side?
Good evening, Anand. Good evening to Ambassador Dogra, and good evening to all of viewers. Anand, first of all, what's happening on Durand line, the Pak border, it's a culmination of 3-4 things which have happened in the region and internationally. Firstly, it's the culmination of America showing interest in Bagram and Pakistan trying to play a buddy, wherein he thought Afghanistan is Afghanistan of yesteryears and we'll just walk in and we'll facilitate this whole thing. That hit the Afghan pride. As the foreign minister while in India, he very clearly said there's no question of giving any basis to anyone on the Afghani soil. Second thing was, when foreign minister was in India and Pakistan was trying to show Afghans that we can hit you whenever we want and we have their power which you don't have the air defense against, or you don't have their power to counter it. So when they hit their bases with the air power, what Taliban did, or what the Afghan fighters did, what they know the best, they converted this whole air warfare into a guerrilla warfare. They attacked their post, they killed their soldiers, they took their soldiers as captives, and most important than everything else, you would have seen the videos when they're entering the Paki post, and there's a chap who's making a video clip. He's walking behind the fighters and making a video and videographing the whole incident. They have played the narrative warfare so beautifully that everyone in Pakistan who had a little hope of the army doing things is now a shattered Pakistani. Because the videos which are there on the internet, the videos of Pakistani soldiers begging for their life, videos of Pakistani soldiers mutilated bodies, which is not a good thing to do anyway, and videos of Pakistan soldiers in captivity, videos of Pakistani soldiers' trousers being hung on the squares as a war booty. Now, this is a narrative warfare which Afghanis won hands down. And they convey to everyone, including those watchers in USA, that Afghanistan is not an easy nut to crack, so don't believe what Pakistan is saying. And it has a history behind it. Remember when after Taliban came into power on 15th of August 2021 in Kabul, the Afghans who were residing in Pakistan for 30, 40 years, they were pushed back like animals and in a most derogatory manner.
Yes.
See, Afghan is a very proud tribe. Pashtun is a very proud tribe. You can take their life with a smile, but they will not give a nail if you want to take it with power or with some sort of a disgrace to them. So all these things were boiling up, and this happened. And now the way Afghanis have hit back, I think this is a lesson in history which Mr. Mutaki was saying, that never in the history has anyone been able to control or rule Afghanistan, other than probably Hari Singh Nalwa during Maharaja Ranjit Singh regime. So if this is the history, if this is the recent history, if this is the way Afghans were treated, and they brought down Pakistan to their advantage, the game which they know the best, and Pakistanis couldn't fight it. And I know the area of Durand Line. The Pakistani posts are far and few, and they're manned by irregulars or frontier force. There are hardly any officers in any post out there.
Right.
And half of them are already having relations or relatives in that general area.
Correct.
And because Pashtuns don't identify the Durand Line. Pashtuns on both sides of this imaginary line are Pashtuns. And they don't bother whether you call it Pakistan, Afghanistan. They have their relatives across. They have their relationships across. Even during British time, Ambassador Dogra will agree with me, this area was non-governable. Britishers used to call it Ilaka-e-Gair. मतलब ये इलाका वो है जहाँ पे गैर का हुक्म चलता है, हमारा हुक्म नहीं चलता है. So if this is the history of the region, I think what has happened in last 3-4 days is a classic example of how you can bring down a nuclear power to the knees even with sub-conventional weapons.
And just by fighting the war the way you know best fit and bringing them to your turf, that's what they've done. The classic,
that is the art of war.
classic visual.
That is the art of war.
Classic.
That is the art of war. You fight the enemy with your strength, not with the enemy's strength.
Not with the enemy's strength. And classic visual of the day is that tank on the streets of Afghanistan where they have claimed that they actually neutralized the Napaki post and then they've taken it back. They're driving away with that tank. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, how do you see this panning out? This is this uneasy ceasefire of 48 hours.
Well, firstly, you can see my happiness that General Dhillon is on the panel. Nothing could be better than that. And you are conducting the panel. And, this mix of General Dhillon and you is just ideal for the viewers also. But I have a problem with both of you. You've already covered everything. There's nothing left for me to say. But let me try and add.
Sir, you are the inside man of Karachi. You know how Pakistan thinks and their internal machinations. So we've actually saved the best for last. Please go ahead.
Absolutely.
I'm reminded of the first Anglo-Afghan war. That was during the East India Company time, 1839 to 1844. They went in with a huge army. Including all kinds of facilities from liquor to cigars and so on. And a British doctor who was posted in Peshawar, he said, I pity them. They are going in to Kabul with huge numbers. Then I wonder how many will come back. And he was right. There was only one person who came back, half dead on a horseback. The entire army was wiped out by Afghans. And that tradition has continued. As visuals pointed out by both of you have indicated, for the moment, not only is Afghan side winning the narrative war, but the facts are also there on the ground, because if Pakistanis had hit Afghans equally hard, then they would have been the first to broadcast it to the world, which they've not done. But the but in all this is, and Afghans have themselves admitted this, is their weakness on the aerial side.
Yes.
And that is why Pakistan in desperation has now taken to bombing civilian population in Kabul also. The oil tanker is one sort of smoke plume which has come out of Kabul, but there are others which are also burning in Kabul. So obviously Kabul and other cities which you had mentioned have been attacked by Pakistan just to demoralize the Afghan population. But I think they would, instead of demoralizing them, inflame their passions. The ceasefire that you mentioned is probably the work of Saudi Arabia and Qatar, who have been active behind the scenes and who have been on behalf of Pakistan, because Pakistan approached them, who have been sort of approaching the Afghan side that, calm down. So 48 hours could extend further, because both sides have suffered. Once the fog of war is lifted, then we would know who has suffered more. But it is also a message to Pakistani people, because Pakistan in the last 2 years during Munir's regime in Pakistan has taken on 3 of its neighbors: Iran, India, and now Afghanistan. And to a larger, smaller extent, but they've taken on all these neighbors. So there is something wrong probably with Pakistan itself and with Munir's way of handling it. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point people in Pakistan start asking questions of him, maybe even within the army itself.
Do you see the Shura and the Kandahar faction now getting a little more aggressive and wresting control and trying to push the Haqqani faction out, the Pakistan faction out of the Taliban regime, Ambassador Dogra? Quick questions, and I'm running out of time. Ji.
Well, they may not edge them out. They will still keep them. But there's no doubt that Haqqani faction is no longer in the same position as it was once during the first Taliban regime. So the Taliban regime is quite confident, is in full control in Afghanistan, despite whatever Pakistan might wish.
Well, Ambassador Rajiv Dogra and General Dhillon have to leave it at that for the moment. Truncated version today, but perhaps a longer version very soon, perhaps on Friday itself, on the right stand on this entire situation and how it's unfolding in the neighborhood. On that note, we call it a wrap on this edition of The Right Stand. It's Brass Tacks with Zakir Jacob after the break. Stay with us.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
We're learning that Supreme Court has begun pronouncing its judgment on the green cracker row. Do remember, we've seen clearly a divide on green crackers, a mix of anticipation, anxiety that's gripped Delhi. Supreme Court hinting that it may allow the sale of green crackers in the city just a week before Diwali, and that pronunciation has begun of the judgment. We're learning that the CGI said we've considered the submissions by Solicitor General and we have to take a balanced approach. Those are the first few comments that are coming in from CGI Gawai. The court is delivering its verdict. Many residents, remember, welcome the prospects of fireworks returning to the skies. They've called it an essential part of festive celebrations. There is another section, like I said, that's expressed concerns that weak enforcement could once again pave the way for regular, more polluting and noisier crackers, and it'll turn the city into a gas chamber and a boombox. Now, do remember, this also coincides very interestingly with the AQI picking up. The AQI in parts of the National Capital Region has crossed 200 and above. and that's a concern that National Capital Region residents are currently staring at. Comes this judgment by the Supreme Court. The verdict is being pronounced as we speak. The verdict essentially is around green crackers and whether they can be sold during Diwali festivities in the national capital. The CGI makes the first few observations. CGI Gavai says we have to take a balanced approach. We've considered the submissions by the Solicitor General. Now, there are green activists who are also speaking or who've broken their silence on this. The permission, if at all, is granted by the tone and tenor of the CGI. This is going to bring back the bursting of crackers within the legal ambit for Diwali, for perhaps other festivals like Gurpurab and Christmas as well. And this is going to happen after 5 long years. Green firecrackers, remember, bring that entire debate back to what it means for air pollution and how limited is really the consequence of this. They're designed to emit 20 to 30% less particulate matter than conventional ones, but the concerns still come with green crackers. And now we're learning in the latest bit of breaking news update that's just come in that the Supreme Court has allowed temporary sale of these crackers. The CGI has referred to the order of October 14, 2024, where Delhi government imposed a complete ban on firecrackers, which was expanded to entire NCR. And this is big news coming in from the Supreme Court. Speaking of how the need of the hour is a balanced approach, Supreme Court allowing temporary sale of crackers, referring to the previous order of 14th October 2024, where the Delhi government had imposed complete ban on firecrackers, which was then extended to the entire national capital region. Bursting firecrackers, though, only permitted from the 18th to the 21st. So just the few days in and around Diwali is when we're going to see this development in the national capital region. It comes with a disclaimer: bursting firecrackers only allowed from the 18th to the 21st. Do remember, a lot of people celebrating Diwali this year on the 20th, some on the 21st. So the crackers, the green crackers are only allowed in the national capital region from the 18th to the 21st. That's the latest bit of breaking news update coming in. Temporary sales of green crackers has been allowed in the national capital region. This is the latest coming in from the Supreme Court. And pretty much on expected lines, because the tone and tenor of the CGI suggested this. And like I said, there's been a lot of anticipation, a lot of anxiety around this. There's a certain section that essentially was waiting for this verdict, welcoming the prospects of fireworks returning to the skies. Others who are concerned that this is going to add to the air pollution problem that is already being faced by the citizens of the national capital region, with the AQI going up. Supreme Court allowing temporary sales of green firecrackers is what we're learning. Ananya Bhatnagar is sharing these details with us. So breaking down more details of everything that's being sent out by Ananya. The patrol team shall conduct regular checks, is what CJ Gavai said, on green crackers. On the green cracker manufacturers. The QR codes of green crackers will also be uploaded on the website. So this strictly is permission given to green crackers in the national capital region. This is not, or doesn't include, all firecrackers. This nod is coming only for green crackers. The Supreme Court making it amply clear that this permission has only been granted from 18th to the 21st October. This is temporary sale of green firecrackers that we're going to see in the national capital regions. Do remember, traders also were in favor of this. Several traders said that complete ban never works and bringing back green crackers can curb black marketing. Those are some of the reactions we heard of in the run-up to the Supreme Court judgment. I do want to go across to Shrishti Chaudhary, my colleague, who joins us with more details. Shrishti, you've been tracking this story very closely. How do you look at this? You know, there were mixed reactions in the run-up to the Supreme Court judgment. There's a small window that the Supreme Court has opened up for the residents of the national capital, allowing green crackers only from the 18th to the 21st.
Yes, Kritsveen. So, see, every year during October, the entire Northwest India, especially the national capital region, witnesses a severe deterioration in the air quality, and especially around the period of festivals, Diwali. Now, with Diwali just few days away, the air pollution levels have started to worsen. Now, over the last 24 hours, the AQI has surged to 200. So now it's hovering between poor to very poor category, and that is why the Graded Response Action Plan Stage 1 has come into effect in the national capital. Now, see, over the last few years, experts have been arguing that, these firecrackers, because there is a sudden peak in the air pollution levels, especially around the festival time, because of bursting of firecrackers, which has been completely banned. Now, these green firecrackers were considered to be one of the solutions, although they do generate emissions and they do generate pollution, but slightly lesser than compared to the normal firecrackers that were used. But nonetheless, they do contribute to the air pollution levels, and experts have been warning against the disastrous impacts. This year, if you compare it with last year, the air quality, I must say, is still better. First of all, due to the meteorological factors, the temperatures are still hovering around 31 to 33 degrees Celsius. The wind is still...
Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. The Supreme Court has allowed the bursting of green crackers in Delhi and the National Capital Region for 4 days, starting from the 18th of October to the 21st of October between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. This is for, of course, Diwali. Now, while everyone from the Chief Minister to the Deputy Chief Minister, all BJP leaders, ministers of the government, they've all welcomed this move, saying that, one festival cannot be singled out and that the Supreme